Hi, good afternoon. It's about 12 p.m. on Friday, February 17th, and I'm here with Jennifer Aquino Shiotani. And I've known Jen for a decent while,
Yeah.
running around LA, acting on all these kind of things. Jen is an actor, entrepreneur, um, voiceover artist. What else should I add? Mom and wife, of course.
Director, producer, mom, and wife.
Oh, geez, that's not enough, You gotta add a few more. Um, and so we're here to talk today with Jen about her life, her experience, what she's done, all the things that are going on. And these things are great because I haven't seen Jennifer in a while, even though we were running around LA for
So
many
long.
years.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I
so
know.
great. It's so great to see you, Ming.
Yeah, it is great to see you. So, um, let's just jump right in. I'll ask, like, where are you from, where you born, where you grew up, and all that kind of stuff. Easy way to start.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in Cerritos, California, which is in Southern California. I was actually born in the Philippines, in Quezon City. I
Okay.
came to the United States when I was 1. So
Wow. Okay.
yeah, and I grew up again in Cerritos. Went to college at UCLA, so I stayed in California. Pretty much raised here, and right now I'm still in LA.
You are the real thing. Like, you are that rare animal that doesn't, the mythical LA person that doesn't really exist.
But you know what? But I love traveling. World travel is one of my passions, so I love being anywhere outside of the United States.
Oh, jeez. I love to do more of that for sure. For sure. Um, so how did you get into acting, the arts, and all those kinds of things?
Oh my gosh. I actually studied theater at UCLA.
Okay.
My major was economics. I have a business mind, and I'm glad that I had that major, and I petitioned into theater classes, and I just loved it. It was a hobby. It was not a. I didn't think of it as, oh, I could, maybe pursue it. I just loved the performing aspect. Like, I was always in plays in like elementary school. I'm a dancer. I have a dance background, so I have a performing background. I was on the dance team at UCLA for 3 years,
Mhm.
and I started taking theater classes and petitioning into those classes there, and I loved it. And when I graduated, I decided I don't think I want to sit behind a desk and have a traditional desk job.
Right.
And I continued training. I studied with Harry Master George for 3 years after college. And then I just started auditioning. I went with a manager and an agent. I started working in film, TV, commercials, and theater. So that's how I kind of stumbled upon it. And I love all forms of acting. Right? We have theater. There's
Right.
film.
Uh-huh.
There's voiceover work. Before I started narrating audiobooks, I was already doing animation and commercial VO for about 15 years.
Uh-huh.
Then transitioned more recently. I just celebrated my 2-year anniversary of
Congratulations.
audiobook narration. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So I think your whole family is in the arts, right? Is that, like, am
Yes.
I missing anything?
Yes.
So
No,
Kip's an
yeah.
actor.
Yeah, Kip's an actor, also a director and a producer.
Uh-huh.
And Sydney,
Kip is her husband, by the way. So Kip
oh, yes,
Shutani,
yes.
who
Kip Shiotani, my husband.
again, we're all running around LA
Right.
auditioning.
And Sydney Shiotani is my daughter. She just graduated from the BFA acting program at Rutgers Mason Gross School of the Arts. So she's
Oh my God, I feel old. So okay, anyway, sorry,
I know.
I just had to
I
let
know.
that out. So
Well, like, people look at me and they go, "You have a college-age daughter?"
actually, I'm looking. I like that's kind of hard to believe. So,
Yeah, but
uh,
you know me. You've known me for a long time, and you knew me when Sydney was a baby.
I
And all
won't
that,
I won't tell anybody. So I only met you like 10 years ago or something, like 5 years ago maybe. So that's great. And then in terms of Sydney, was she inspired by you guys? Was it just she was around you guys and
Wow, that's a
felt
great question. She grew up, she grew up around acting and theater and being on the sets. When she was starting at 2, she was at the theater with us backstage. We also brought her on sets, like when we were filming. I remember Kip bringing her on the set of My Name is Earl, and when we worked on a film that Lainey Shikawa was directing. She loved all areas. She loved the theater. She would call it the dark, dark place, the theater. And she goes, the dark, dark place, because it would be, all dark,
Really?
And then on stage, like on a set, she just like the makeup people, and they were just so nice to her. She would be on the makeup chair. The director let her do the clapperboard.
Oh yeah.
And she was so good at just being quiet at a very young age when she was supposed to be quiet. Just everyone loved her. And she thought work was the craft services table. Like she thought. So of course, when she was 2, she basically told Kip, when I grow up, I want to be an actor. And
That's hilarious.
She actually started acting at 5. Working, the child stuff, commercials, voiceover work. She was on a voiceover show for 3 years, and took a break to study, because you're not allowed to work when you're in a conservatory. So for 3.5 years, she did that. And now she just graduated last month, and she is now with her representation and is already auditioning and getting settled here in LA.
Wow, that's great. I mean, I came to acting late, so I would have loved to have like a family that was into it and all these kinds of things, and would have loved to gotten into much younger. So think about what it was like way back when we were running around and things like that. How did you see it, and like what was it like? And this is maybe for all those people who today it's such a different world, right? So what was it like when you were first getting into acting? What do you think was the good stuff, the hard stuff, the challenges?
I wish I knew, of course, what I know now.
Mm-hmm.
I first started, and that's a lot about being confident, knowing who you are. And I think that does take time. And when you're young, right out of college, you're still kind of discovering who you are. And as an artist, we're always growing and finding different niches. Like who knew that I was going to love voiceover work, and then eventually audiobook narration. I did, but I was, as an artist, I was always open to opportunities that keep me creative and that satisfy my my creativity needs, right? I want it to be creatively fulfilling. But of course, back then, and it's still an issue now, we're always wanting to, well, first being female and also being Asian American, that's like a double minority. It's always been a struggle of not playing stereotypical roles. Like one of the early things on that I had a discussion with my agent and my manager is I don't want to play prostitute roles, because that's what's written.
There's so many of them.
by the white male writer. They say, oh, let's do like a Asian storyline. Oh, Asian prostitute somewhere in there and get saved or whatever it is. And I know those stories, some of those stories need to be told. And I just don't need to be the one portraying those roles. Someone else could do that. It's really a personal choice of what you want and what you don't want to do. There was a time where I think I did an ABC pilot where I played someone who was kidnapped into prostitution. And that, for me, that storyline was a little bit different because, I feel like it's the whole being forced versus making the choice of doing that as a living. But I don't like today. I mean, after that, I didn't want to do it again. You know what I mean? Even though I had a wonderful experience and met a lot of wonderful actors and the director and that kind of thing. But yeah, those struggles. And that's why
I understand. I totally understand. So,
right.
And those stories are almost overtold, because once one storyline is kind of in Hollywood, you see it repeated on several different shows, because it now becomes a sort of semi-myth. And that's like the common story to be told, right? So
and then also like the Asian American male not being good looking and sexy, they're always like the nerd or the computer nerd or the delivery person or something like that. It's
I've done those.
It's right. I mean, it's slowly changing, but it also still exists. It's slowly changing. I mean, now it's a gradual change, but that's why Kip and I decided to start our own production company, to start more control, creating our own content, collaborating with writers and directors, and creating our own projects. So that's what, instead of waiting around and complaining, right? And I love that so many actors of color have done that, like Issa Rae. They're creating their own content, and it's so easy now to create content with all social media and digital, right? With your phone, you can make content. So it's just it's been empowering to just decide to do that. And, you know, we're encouraging Sydney to do that as well, because even today, actors still are at the whim of the roles that are created. But
Right.
if you have roles you want to play, why not create them yourselves? Even make a short film and do that. Just staying creative was what I learned. What was important is, and that's what audiobook narration has given me, Ming, is between my on-camera auditions and on-camera work or theater work, anything, I'm staying creative.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Right. With audiobook narration, I'm telling stories. I'm playing all the roles. I'm voicing every single character. I'm making acting choices. So when I have an audition, it's not like, oh, I hope I'm not desperate to get it. And it's not like it's been a while since I've acted, because I'm acting every day.
Yeah, no, you must be, right? So, and you've done so many books. So I'm going to get to that more in a second, but I'm going to go back for a second on a couple things, if I may. So any specific things you would like, let's say someone younger is getting to business, listening to this, and specific things you said you wish you had known when you got into the business. Any specifics there that you like to mention?
Well, I wish I had known to create content earlier. We didn't start our production company until I think I had already been in the business 15, 20 years, right? I would have loved to have done it from the very beginning, because it takes time to create content and collaborations and to actually produce things, funding them, getting them developed, and then marketing them through, whether it's film festivals and things like that. It takes time to do that. And I wish I had learned to do that earlier, or knew that I could do that, or be empowered to do that at an earlier stage. I would say that's at the top of my mind. That's the first thing I wish I had known early on. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about the production side of things, and what kind of projects were you into? And maybe a good perspective would be, or a good question to ask would be, you know, there are many different routes. So, you know, before social media, there were, you know, it was basically film or short films and things like that. There's the film festival route and all these kinds of things. And now with social media, there's so many more options. So what kind of productions did you do? And what do you think of the different, you know, sub formats that you could go? Do you want to go?
Yeah.
Do you think it's better to do social media? Do you think it's better to stick with the film market or the short film market? These kinds of questions.
That's a good question. I say you do you and what your strengths are. If social media is your strength, I say that. If you're a YouTube person, use that platform. But I want to talk about, how did I get into producing? You know, I would say before I started my production company, which is Kohana Productions Incorporated, I was producing theater first, right? So I was the West Players and at Lowstone Theater Ensemble, which is also an Asian American theater company. And I started producing, and I realized that, and other people realized quickly how good I was at producing.
I'm going to ask your MBTI later, and I know what I'm going to guess you're a J, but which is very good for producing. But we'll get to that at the end. How's that?
I am an ENTJ. Is that what you're asking?
Yes. Okay. There you go. See, I knew it. The J I was sure about. We'll discuss that in a little.
We'll talk about that. But yeah, and then I even produced for John Ridley, who is an Academy Award-winning writer and producer. And one of the compliments he gave me was, "You're the first producer who stayed within budget that he's ever."
Oh, that's like impossible. No one in Hollywood does that. So you're two unicorns in one. You're an LE person and you stay in budget. That's, you know,
I stay in budget. Yeah,
that's the true unicorn.
I have a finance background, and I'm good with money. I'm a budgeting person. I'm like debt free. I'm a finance person and a spreadsheet person. That's what my economics background gave me at UCLA, and that's why I'm so glad that I did major it in business, because I'm applying it to the business of acting. Because as actors, we are our own company. We have to do our own marketing. We have to do our own. It's basically, we're the CEO of our company. But yeah, and so I started producing with theater. And then when we came up with the idea, when we were sick and tired of complaining and say, hey, well, let's not complain anymore, let's create content, we started our production company in 2007 in the hopes of making feature films. So we started with a short film, and we collaborated with Art Chidabala, who is an amazing director and editor at Paramount for 20 years. And we collaborated with a writer, and our goal was to create content where we would it would just be human stories where the actors happen to be Asian American. It's not a specific storyline. What we wanted to do was create American content, because oftentimes you see our face and you don't think American, we think Asian.
Right.
And there were already Asian storylines going on, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I mean, when that came out, people were looking at me and saying, that opens doors for you, right? And I said, no, the movie didn't open doors for me because that's an Asian story. It's not an Asian American story, right?
I understand. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's why our goal was just make good content. It's a strong character-driven story. And then the actors happen to be Asian, but it has not necessarily an Asian storyline. So we, our first production was The Anniversary, which is a story about a man who's grieving at the anniversary of his wife's death.
Okay.
And so it's just a really beautiful story. And then we took that around the festival circuit. We got to meet a lot of filmmakers, and we won multiple awards.
Okay, so let's jump forward a little bit and ask about the voice acting work that you've been doing for for many years, but even more in the last few years. How did you get into the audiobook side? Or how about this? Tell us a little bit about what you were doing and how you got into the audiobook side, those kinds of things.
Yeah, so with voiceover work, I was doing animation and commercial work. I had stumbled upon a voiceover audition for an animated series and ended up booking it. And that's how I got into the voiceover world. Gosh, this was 15, 20 years ago. And I was doing that, and then but then I started focusing more on film and TV. It's hard because I will say voiceover work, it's a full-time job. It's very competitive. You have tons of auditions every week. I think, you could have 5 to 10 auditions a week with voiceover work. And so I was focusing more on camera work, and then the pandemic happened in 2020, and we all know what happened. Film and TV productions shut down, and I wanted to find a way to stay creative. So I stumbled upon a masterclass by an audiobook narration coach. Her name is Elise Arsenault. I really vibed with her energy. I was in alignment with how she was coaching, and I wanted to learn from her. And so I signed up for her course, and she became my coach. And because of that course that I took, I dove right in. I committed. I mean, we were all sitting at home. There was not much going on, but I wanted to stay creative. So I really committed to the course. It's called The Great Audiobook Adventure. And it taught me how to transfer my on-camera and theater acting to the craft of narration acting. It's different.
So let me ask this, which is what I was going to ask. Let's say I am an actor, and I am an actor that occasionally gets voiceover stuff or auditions. What are just some examples, just to give people an idea of the adaptations that you have to make to make that transition? So obviously, it's similar to theater to film and all this kind of stuff. So what kind of adjustments, just a couple things you had to adjust or learn?
Yeah. So like a few technical things, really, because again, it's audio. And so your audience is listening. Usually headphones, so it's kind of intimate. So it would be things as you are performing or as you're reading the book, there's dialogue. And when there's dialogue, you need to pause between the dialogue and the narration. Like it could be something, for example, don't go there, he shouted. So there's that little bit of a pause, especially when two people are talking or more than one person is talking, they're having a dialogue. And it doesn't say he said or she said, it's just dialogue, dialogue, dialogue. You have to be able to differentiate between a character, especially if it's male versus female, and then pause in between so that it helps the listener know, oh, someone is speaking, this is dialogue, or, oh, someone else is speaking now. Because of that, just because of that pause, those technical things, acknowledging paragraph breaks, things like that. Most of the time when someone's starting out, even though they have an acting background and even though they have a voiceover background, they read too fast.
Wow. I think it's true. Very true. Yes.
So that's one of the things when I'm coaching a new client, one of the first things I talk about is pace and just slowing down and just being present moment to moment with each sentence.
Is there, I imagine that there are long blocks of text, it feels like a book would be the infinite monologue to me, right? So is there an art to like, you know, doing so much text, it continuously?
Yeah, I mean, that is so true, because if you think about it, if you're narrating 8 hours a day, you're talking 8 hours.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I choose not to do that. What I love about audiobook narration, which is very different from other acting industries, is you get to pretty much choose when you work, what time you work, and how often you work. There is an abundance of audiobook work, I will tell you, and I will say not enough talent. I would say we got a lot of people wanting to be a narrator, but we have so much audiobooks being made. I think 2 years ago, it was over 70,000 audiobooks were produced.
Uh-huh.
If you want to, you can do one book a month, or $2 a month, or there's narrators doing one book a week who are doing this full time. I'm doing it not full time. I'm doing 1 to 2 books a month, and I'm not in my recording studio no more than 3 hours. So I'll record anywhere between 2 and 3 hours a day, and that's it.
That's actually pretty good. Sounds very manageable.
Yes, you could be doing other things, right? Because I do other things. I have on-camera stuff going on, my production company, my health and wellness business, being a wife, and just your personal life, just to have a balance. So to me, it is the perfect acting job, because be anywhere, right? It's all remote. There's people in Europe who are narrating audiobooks, or anywhere in the world. You could be anywhere. You could be anywhere. You could, and then you can choose your own schedule. I mean, there's not.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Let me ask a few technical nuts and bolts questions, because I'm actually I found that this is odd for most people. I'm a process person. Like, I understand things when I understand the process. So I'm going to ask a few nuts and bolts questions. Let's see. First of all, obviously, you have to get equipment, right? So you have to get a mic, which for those who don't know, like, give you an idea of what kind of mic, how expensive, blah, blah, blah. And then you probably had to build out a studio, these kinds of things. And what that was like, and then the recording you have to do. And I've actually done some post on recording. So do you have to like do some post or EQ and these kinds of things? What program do you use?
Questions.
So that's like 4 questions already. So go ahead.
I could answer all of that. I will tell you, that was the beauty of the course that I took. It was a complete course, because in the course, there's also an engineer that helps you build your home studio.
Okay.
Depending on your space, your space is what's going to determine the best microphone for you, right? Because if you have a large condenser microphone, but you have a crummy space, it'll pick up every crackle and sound, and it won't be good. So what I loved about that is that was taken care of in the course. Yes, I have, I built a blanket booth in my closet. I have the microphone and interface, all of that, and I coordinated that with the engineer through my course.
So let me ask this. I'm a bit of a numbers guy too. So how much do you think someone has to spend on a microphone? I have one here, which I bought for film production, and it's pricey, not as much as some condenser mics. And then how much was it, like, ballpark, if you want, just like give an idea, like what people have to do a studio.
So I narrate for all of the big publishers. My microphone was $150.
Oh, that's great. Okay, all right, now I have to ask you which brand and what it was. Like, what was it?
So it's an AKG C1000S. So it's a small condenser microphone. It's a beautiful microphone. I love it for my voice. Again, the microphone is going to be determined by your space and also your voice. So I would, a lot of producers at the publishers, they love this microphone for me. This is perfect for me. And in my course, the engineer helped me pick this microphone for my space. The interface, couple $100. I have an SSL2. I have an inline preamp that was $99. The booth itself, I have a blanket booth. If you have a closet, there are people narrating out of a closet, because the closet is perfect for sound absorption. I have a producer's choice sound blankets, and so that's what I use. And I bought for $40 at Home Depot the PVC pipe framed. I have a 4x6. Which is a nice big booth for me, and I could stand if I want to do other voiceover stuff, that kind of thing. So all together, the blankets are the most expensive. So maybe $400 for my something like that.
And what do you record on? What kind of software? These kinds of things.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I was already using Audacity, which is a free DAW. When I was doing voiceover work, throughout the course, my coach basically said, if you love Audacity, which is simple, and you're already using it, then that's what I did. Like if you love it, then great. But there's so many other DAWs, like people use Reaper, Studio One, GarageBand. I mean, there's so many,
Right.
and no right or wrong. I will say all DAWs are equal when it comes to recording. If you're just recording, all DAWs are equal. And you had a question about, do I need to edit and master and do any and any kind of that stuff? The answer is, if you work with publishers, you don't have to. So that's what I.
That's great. Because I mean, like, there's no hope that I will ever know as much as a sound engineer, and I'm always fascinated because I've done enough to do my own little thing whenever, like, I've done, shot stuff, and I can do a little bit, but I know that there's still like this whole, massive knowledge I don't have.
Right. I mean, it's good to be knowledgeable about sound and basic things about sound, but you don't have to be an engineer mastering your audio. If you want to work with producers, if you want to work on ACX, which is where you are the producer, you have to handle the engineering side, or you could also hire an engineer to do that.
Right. Okay. And
I chose not to do that.
By the way, do most audiobooks fall under SAG-AFTRA contracts?
Yes.
Yeah,
absolutely.
See, that's beautiful.
I only work SAG-AFTRA contracts when I'm narrating the books.
Well, that's important, actually. So,
yeah.
See? Only industry insiders would ask that question.
for pension and health and qualify for insurance, amazing.
Okay. So that's a technical side. Anything else on the technical side people might want to know?
That's pretty much it. I mean, just again, a lot of times people want to get the best microphone, the most expensive microphone, but then if you have a crummy space, that's not going to be a good microphone for you. It's just you're better off with a different microphone that's not as sensitive.
Right, right.
Unless you have a booth. If you pay $10,000 for one of those whisper booths or something, then that's different.
It was interesting, but today I just had a voiceover edition this morning. I was recording, and one of them says had a phone booth, and it said this mic or that mic, and I looked it up. It was like $1,000. I was like, that's the minimum requirement. Okay, all right. I thought you could do 500 maybe.
See, that makes me so mad when they say that. It's like, okay, you have that microphone, but what if you have a crummy space? That's not. No. Yeah.
Okay. So being a business head as well, by the way, since I have a business background, like, how do you go about getting your first job and, getting more people to know who you are and sort of getting more jobs in the future, basically? Like, I assume you get your job and then, someone, likes your work and they refer you. But what was your experience with that, and any suggestions you have?
Yeah. And again, my course covers this. I mean, this course is so complete. It talks about everything from how to get work, how to continue to get work, because it's very different. Agents in general are not involved with audiobooks. Agents don't want to really, it's not big money. There's no residuals. So there's no +10 in the SAG track. So agents are generally not involved unless you're a celebrity, or if you choose to, you can say, I only want to work with my voiceover agent for my audiobooks. That's fine too. 99% of the time, no agent is involved. And so we have to solicit our own work. And as you know, Ming, I'm a relationship person. I'm a networking person. I love it. And
you don't like to talk at all. Just kidding.
I love meeting new people, getting to know them, and then helping them, how can I help them? And just being genuine and authentic. And that's it. It's not about me getting a job. It's not me. It's like, you know what I mean? It's just getting to as a person. That's something that I learned, I would say, when I started my own business, that I wish I had known at a younger age about how to network, because networking can have a negative connotation. For me, it's not. It's something about who can I help. But I'm already teaching networking workshops because I want to share my knowledge and comfortability, and how I really believe I was able to get a lot of work because of my networking skills, and how I just genuinely just want to meet people. And it's not about hire me. And but it is basically cold emails. And if you have referrals, that's great. Theodore Chin, I know you know Theo. He's been narrating for, I don't know, 20 years.
Forever, I think. Way before I was even aware
Yeah.
of the market, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and he was one of the first ones that I turned to, because after I completed my course and everything, one of the steps is, who do you know, maybe another actor that's also narrating that can refer you, and he referred me to like 4 or 5 of the big publishers.
Oh, that's
And
great.
I'm
Okay.
really grateful for that. He said, "Oh, here they are. Just tell them that I referred you. Here's their email address," and that made a difference. So I give back, and I'm doing that constantly. I'm referring. I will tell you, Ming, this industry, the audiobook industry, is so different from other acting industries, how generous we are. We actually can help each other get work. So when I turn down books if I'm too busy or I'm not able to. I will say, hey, I know someone perfect for this. So and I would refer that narrator, and they would, and a lot of the times they'll just hire them. So it's amazing. And I think the reason why is there's this generosity is because there is an abundance of work. You know what I mean? There's no competing or taking away. It's like, let me help. And, I'll help other Asian female narrators, because to me, there's so much work. It's not competition,
No, it's very cool. It's very cool. We're going to run out of time very soon, unfortunately. It went really fast, right? So two quick things. One, you are ENTJ, right? So
Yes, I
extrovert,
am
intuitive, thinking, judger. And by the way, so for those who don't know, judger is not someone who judges, is someone who is very good at being organized. So for example, Jennifer was like confirmed and knew the exact time, had it planned out, was on time. She's on the ball. Let me tell you, that's why she's a great producer. Extrovert, you can tell she's easily talking to people. And N and T, thinker, processor, which is good because you get your stuff done. So I'm gonna have a list of fun questions if I have enough time. But here's another important one. If people want to find out more about you and all the work that you do, where should they go?
Oh my gosh, please find me. I'm on social media, on Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram. My handle is Jen Aquino 25. That's 2 N's, JENN Aquino 25. I'm also on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, or you could just email me, jennifer@jenniferaquino.com.
Okay, so is that the best? Which of those is the best place would you recommend people go find you? Which place they should go?
I am on all of those places every day. So depends on where you're at. So if you are on Twitter, I at least once a day I will be on all of those platforms, so I will not miss you.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much. It's been great. That went by really fast, and I still have many more questions I could ask. But that was great. It was also really informative, which to me, I love informative stuff because I love to learn things. And yes, Jennifer Aquino, check her out, please.
Thanks so much for having me, Ming. It was great to see you and to talk with you.
Thank you. Have a great day.